So I'm giving a disclaimer. This is the first time I am made a presentation, and the first time I'm giving this presentation, right? So a lot of thoughts, words, right? Maybe I'll refine over a period of time, but you know, when I was making the presentation, it struck me first time that Bharat ka Amrit Kal, the word which is given by the PM Modi, exactly it means 2022 to 2047, and within that, in case somebody followed the Niti Aayog, this is about a week back, they are talking about making India a developed nation by 2047. This is what they're talking about. A $30 trillion, $40 trillion economy, that way. So there are many things which will go into building this, but today I won't be able to talk about everything. There are time constraint. So one or two things I'll just take the help to close my presentation, but mainly today I will be talking about manufacturing. Manufacturing as a core contribution to India's growth. Why, what, few things that I've read, few things that will update you. So my presentation is very large, but today I have cut it short for the purpose of for time constraint. You know, if in case I was to show you this slide, if I was to show you this slide 20 years back, and I'll tell you why 20 years back. In 2002, 2003, I've been about 25 years in this mutual fund industry. In 20 years back, I got a presentation which was supported by London, because I used to work in a mutual fund called HSBC Mutual Fund, which talked about two main aspects. India is going to become $1 trillion economy, maybe in some years. And secondly, India's per capita income is going to grow. So if these words were used 20 years back, it would, well, people would have just brushed us off, saying that can India be second largest economy, $57 trillion. You know, I just picked up from the net. Numbers may vary here and there. But main thing, when I am talking to you almost close to $4 trillion economy, right? We are about $3.7, $3.8 trillion economy. These numbers look achievable now. It is just a matter of base. So within this, what I'll try and do is I'll just cover the part on manufacturing. You know, same aspect. I'm using China here as an example, right? India and China got independence. India and China got independence almost at the same time, 1947, 1948, 49. India and China's reforms, almost same time they kicked up. China 1980s, India 1991. What China did, and all credit to them, what China did is this: they built up from the base, and today they're the largest manufacturers of goods in the world. The number is 32%. So about 1/3 of the total manufacturing of the world happens in one country, which is China. So naturally, manufacturing went up to contribute a large number in China's growth, who's the second largest economy of the world, about $20 trillion, $18-20 trillion economy. So with this introduction, let me tell you what India is talking about. And while I just put this slide to help me, I'll give you some background. You know, 20 years back, India's contribution of manufacturing to GDP was higher than what we are today. What has happened is services, and all credit to services. Services did better. The numerator of services to the total denominator has been higher. Higher than manufacturing, higher than agriculture. Because in GDP terms, we talk about three components in sectorally. One is agriculture, second is services, third is manufacturing. So as I talk to you, India's manufacturing contribution to GDP is only 15 to 16%. That's it. Only 15 to 16%, right? So if you ask me, we have nothing to lose. What bad it can happen? And if we try something, it can only go up. The base goes back that, if you remember 2014, this is Modi 1. The slogan, I'm using the word slogan, was Make in India. It was not, there are many things they encountered, but it was Make in India. So Make in India was manufacturing in India, Make in India was Make in India for the India population, etc., etc. It was a futuristic slogan, but it should have come long time back. Whatever, as they say, der se aaye, durust aaye, you came late, but you came prepared. So we went through some challenges because, you know, here and there, world was not in a very great shape. And we know what was happening in Lehman crisis and so on. In 2021, and I'm quoting Sanjeev Sanyal out here, who used the word experiment. He said there was an experiment which we went through in 2021. which today is referred to as PLI, Production Linked Incentive, right? It is an old subsidy form refined to new age. So in simple terms, if you manufacture in India, if you are 0, you manufacture 100, or if you are 100, you go to 300, depending upon the production, you do production, because old thing was subsidy. Build a factory, take subsidy, God knows you're not answerable after that. Here India is saying produce in India, that is why P. P stands for production. Take incentive from us. The experiment started in mainly 3 sectors. One was electronics, especially mobile phones. Second was drugs, which basically pharmaceuticals. And third was medical equipments. And maybe in later slide, I'll take a support of, I'll explain you a little bit on this again, because this became crux to the change of manufacturing growth in India. 15%, again I'm repeating, only 15%. But you know what was happening to us while I'm talking to you? In 2015 onwards, it was not only Make in India, there were many things, other things which has happened. Today I won't be able to cover it, but Nandan Lilikali was requested to take over a project, which today in hindsight, I'm just referring for easy purpose as Digital India. Right? There are many things which changed. Nandan Lilikali, the way we give credit to many people, he's the person who's changed India digitally. So as India went digital last 8-9 years, electronic items, especially mobile phones, laptops, and many other ancillaries linked to that, the requirement for that went up. We didn't have technology, we were not building it. So automatically imports went up. From the largest import for India is crude, which still happens to be large. I don't know how to replace that, but let's see, that's another story some other day. Second largest became, well, the people from Kerala will be a little disappointed, but gold, which was second largest, became third largest. Right? So second largest became electronic item, including mobile phones and so on. So the PLI which came was in mobile phones. So I'll just try and change and maybe come back to this slide if required later. So I'm leaving 1 or 2 slides here. And so what was the PLI, to explain you simple terms? Simple terms was Make in India mobile phones, Make in India number of other things. The government came out, 15, 16, 18 sectors, they came out ultimately. The first one was in mobile phones. One of the first ones in mobile phone. It simply said this, Make in India, there will be bidding, bidding will happen. It's not that suddenly you can come 2-3 years later, I started making. You bid, you make a plan, you produce, and take incentive from us. The rule is very simple. If you say, I'm already producing 100, I'll go to 500, so it's incremental 400, right? If you produce 380, incentive is 0. Right? It is not like going to your maths teacher and say, sir, my answer is wrong, but 4 steps are right, give me 8 marks out of 10. It is either 0 or 1. It is full marks or no marks. Simply like that. So, and you know, the first of whatever you do is always a challenge. Remember the first when we were setting up your own business. The first when Mahindra Manulife was setting up a business in India. Right? Because after you are successful, a lot of things become easy. It's way of life. Out here, one of the largest bidders who came in were people like Dixon Technologies, Samsung, 1 or 2 companies, Apple, and so on. So 20 years back, 100%, let's say I'm using the word 95 to 100% of the mobile phones utilized in demand, is being sold in India were being imported 20 years back. Right? So even, like literally even 5 years back, remember what happened? Digital India changed you from type phones to smartphones. Another company called Jio made you go onto data, because data became so cheap. Data became accessible to everybody, including low income. And automatically people said smartphones. So today there are about, if I'm not mistaken, there are about 70 crore smartphone users in India. So you may ask, why not 130? If we have 130 in India, it will become 130 also. It will happen very soon, right? So if so much is in demand, automatically you have to import it because demand is there. Now the thing is, as I talk to you, even this PLI came in 2 years back, only 2.5 years back. Productions still to come. You know last year what has happened? Net off, we have exported $10 billion of mobile phones. Yes, we have been supported partly by COVID because China went into extended lockdown, because i14 was to be launched and it got made in the factory near Chennai. Right? But so there was some part of luck also, but net, we are getting prepared for the future. And you know what numbers are being quoted? $100 billion of exports from India. Naturally, it is not that I'm going to export, I'm going to first cater to the domestic demand, and then I'm going to export. This is what we are talking about. And if Apple is with us, which is largest in the world, automatically a lot of things will be taken care of. So leave aside the number, whether I'm right on 100 or somebody is right on 70 or 80. The thing is, from net importers, you're going to demand import substitution, you're going to maybe export also. So employment generation, forex benefits, current account benefits, deficit benefits, all of those will kick in. Now, this is only an example I've used to explain you. So there are many of the industry which is gone. Some of them have been maybe impromptu, like I think defense. Defense, though I don't want to call it an industry, because it's a large, it is ultimately 15–16% of demand, of the budget allocation. But thing is, they require many things. And with the modern requirements in terms of technology for the armed forces, these requirements still gone up. So they went indigenous, make in India. So often, if I remember the numbers, from 45% armed forces requirements of being imported, we are down to about 25% only. Right? To a level, sometimes maybe if I am given informal presentation, I would have used many other words, but simply think, someday we were dependent on Russia to give us submarines. Today we are making, L&T is making submarines. A lot of people are not aware. There are Indian companies which are making missiles. So business, if you're aware about a company called BDL or Bharat Dynamics, BrahMos missiles, BL, part suppliers of that. And many other Paras, MTR, you would have heard many others. And some of them are back-end suppliers who cater to some of the ancillaries of these requirements. So things are changing, but things would not, maybe this PLA is helping. I'll give you one or two strategic points. Semiconductor. So sometime, and before going there, let me tell you something more. 50%, I said 48% or so, 48% of India's total manufacturing chain is linked to automobiles. Automobiles project is like 1980–1990 project. We started that time, automobiles, because ultimately, even if you have to make one laptop, you have to make a mobile phone, there are many things which go as component. So do you want to be only assembly, or do you want to make it in India? Right? So the supply chain needs to build in, and that will not happen automatically overnight. First, manufacturers have to come in. So how do you build a supply chain? It will take some time, but it is happening. So even today, as I talk to you, when lot of these goods are being made in China semiconductor requirements are being imported from Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. They don't have technology to build it. They don't have it. So don't be under the, none of us be under the impression that even China has everything, which means somebody has held back something. You know what is good for India? India went in and gave PLI in semiconductors, in PLI in lithium EV batteries, so on. And they twisted their rules in PLI. All other PLIs were given, you produce, I'll give you the money. For this, they said, you invest capital expenditure. If you invest a factory where you need to put 10,000 crores, I will give you 40–60% as in the PLI. They twisted the rules to get them in, to make it lucrative to make in India out there. So there are some strategic positions being taken. Also, it is not only base requirements. So I'll go back to this slide. I just put some names, right? Well, some of them may not be here, some of them are here. But semiconductor, we don't even know the names. Some of the names in my mind are Taiwan Semiconductor, somebody may say Foxconn, somebody may say NVIDIA. How many of them we know? And many of them are already preparing to come to India. Just remember one thing, when the PM is going out to meet some of the countries, they are not going for excursion. Right? While I'm in Kerala, my wife thinks I've sent a few pictures from the beach. She thinks you are out there on excursion, you are in paradise. She wrote back, it seems you are in paradise. No, yesterday evening I took the pictures. Right? And I know I am, for this half an hour presentation, I'm preparing from the last 2 days what to tell you, what to talk, how to co-join my conversation, so on. Right? Same thing, remember, when People are going out, PM Modi is meeting so many people. It's not only meeting, conversation, relationship, diplomatic. There's so many things. Semiconductors coming to India before China. It is good. It's as I talk to you. And if you don't mind by saying, I think gods are with us this time. Gods are with us. Huh? This old conversation which goes like this. You cannot stop an idea whose time has come. I think that time is already running for India. So this manufacturing, I'm picking up just one bit to talk to you about this manufacturing. Do you know we are 15%? What is the expectation next 10 years? The target is 25. Now understand the maths. We have about 4 trillion, I round up to $4 trillion economy, 15% manufacturing, $600 billion, right? When we are 10 trillion, and you can take 9, 10, 8, 10 years, whatever, if we are 25, we are talking about $2.5 trillion manufacturing contribution, 6 times growth. India will grow less than 3 times, manufacturing will go 6 times. Right? This was a return of sector. We said we don't have technology, our cost has gone up. Everything you will hear about this, everything. You will not hear one good thing that will go into this. But let me tell you, the small steps have already been taken. And as I talk to you, things are on. And when I said gods are in India, you know, we would not have got I-14. It would have been manufactured somewhere else. We would not have found lithium reserves in Rajasthan and in Jammu Kashmir. Right? Suddenly we have found them. The work has been going on, maybe, but the requirement is now. So a lot of those things happening, and you will see 25%, even if it's 22, the numerator effect will be much higher than the total growth of Indian economy. So large contribution coming from this. Just for conversation I'm putting in. You know, it is not only what government is doing, it is what entrepreneurs are saying. Dixon Technology, why I put the name out here, they were the largest bidders. They were largest bidders for mobile phone PLI. Right? So their job work, they make for anybody. They make goods for LG, they make Xiaomi, they will make Motorola, Nokia, everybody. Right? They don't have their own brand. But do you know what their aspiration is? Dixon Technology aspiration. The aspiration is we are going to be in the top 5 manufacturers of electronic goods in the world. It is no more India. This is what they're saying. We are going to be in top 4, 5 largest electronic manufacturers in the world. Right? So and when they are going to do it, it's domestic also, they're going to supply naturally, maybe under some other brand. So they call themselves brand behind the brand. This is a brand, you may buy LG, you may buy Nokia, but they are the manufacturers behind. They are the Foxcons, Pegatrons, and Vistrons for Apple, because they are the manufacturers for Apple. You know, how much is the penetration level for washing machines in India? About 12-13%. What is the penetration of LED televisions in India? Less than 20%. I'm putting a number 20%. So domestic requirement is going to be there. And one slide I'll cover in the next slide, right? So Siemens, ABB, I was listening to the ABB person, ABB chief. He said 70 years, 75 years we have been in India. 18 verticals we are running. Huh? Now we are talking about mega factories. These are words being used. Are you aware that last year, somebody wants to guess last year how many Mercedes got sold in India, 2022? A number, somebody may? Ajit bhai, liya aapne? Okay, 1 lakh. Good number, very close, but okay. Still aspirational 60,000. 60,000, in which 25% was 1 crore and above. To hindsight, before they were selling 10% only, which was 1 crore and above, but on a lower base. Right? In EV, they have already launched 2-3 models, 4 models they are talking about launching. Boeing, Airbus, right? So, is somebody aware how many airplanes orders they have got from India, from Air India? Everybody is underestimating India's growth. 2,200. You are going to run their factories, huh? Because you are the consumer, you're going to fly. So let me put a number to you. Bangalore Airport, Airport 1, Terminal 1, 35 lakh, I'm putting the Indian numbers, right? 3.5 million, 35 lakh capacity. Bangalore 2, the new one is open. Terminal 2, 50, they're adding 20 lakhs, 55 lakh. Third is being already in work in progress, right? We have people from Bangalore, 85 lakhs. Annual capacity for the Bangalore Airport. Do you know? As soon as they cross 70, 75, they will be larger than Heathrow. I am not talking about Bombay. I am not talking about Delhi. I am talking about Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, being more than Heathrow. Right? Everything happened in front of us in 15, 20 years. Everything. So 2200 is a hub being created in Hyderabad for servicing of airplanes for India, right? And so on, so on. I'm stopping these examples here, but the numbers just go on. The thing is, this PLI is going to incentivize and help some of the entrepreneurs which are stuck up. Nothing wrong, because this is what every country does. There's going to be a boom in skilled labor requirement in manufacturing. It is very much possible. What IT did, IT saved India for the timing by the export of their services. What they did, they will still grow, but manufacturing import, right? Just see what a vision is. We may go close to current account deficit word being reduced to nothing. If 3 years back you had met me, I would have said the largest risk India is running is current account deficit. Yes, my economy will grow. It is possible. But when I'm $5 trillion, I may go to IMF and say, please give me 20 billion, 30 billion, because my forex is being used by crude, by imports. Is that what we wanted? Deficit is never good. So things are changing. Some of that is work in progress. This I just kept for the conversation. You know what was surprising? And surprising, not surprising, is this part, which we are not consciously aware. Mukesh Ambani, we know, he's a top industrialist. Manufacturing ki baat ho rahi hai. So I'm talking to Poonawalla, by the way. Somebody can read. Cyrus Poonawalla, founder of Serum Institute, healthcare. You are aware now what he makes. You are aware what services he gave to the mankind in COVID. Right? About 250 crore of total supply that came from him. And you know, what will happen? Many of these new names will come in. Some of the names may be foreign, but manufacturing in India. What Mercedes is saying is, whether or not I'm making in India, yes, I'm making in India, but you know, I'm designing in India. Almost every vehicle that gets sold has a design component or a R&D component from India, because that they are based in India. Right? So yes, let me just go to the next slide. This is more towards summary, because constraint of time. This is more demographics, because what I want to tell you is India, right now as I talk to you, we are on cusp of high growth. We are running, if I can borrow the words, a Triveni Sangam kind of thing. Where if 3 rivers, here there are 3 big forces helping India. 1, manufacturing. 2, demographics. Demographics will run your manufacturing also. As you become rich, and thank God people like me will retire sometime very soon, because when Saugat and people like me, and Ajit bhai, aapko bhi le leta hu, when we earn, you know, we can't spend, because our mothers and fathers taught us to be frugal. Right? I don't know if my kid has ever read the name also, but Mulk Raj Anand, he said, high thinking, simple living. So we can't spend. If we don't spend, consumer kahan se aayega? How will your economy? So really rich people in wealth terms. Right? And by the way, I think we are all rich beyond what we thought. But if there is no consumerism, how will you grow? Right? Every time my son orders a pizza, he is ordering a pizza 1,000 rupee, 1,200 rupee, and my thoughts are, my total expenditure on atta for the month is not more than 700, 800 rupees. So I eat parantha, I eat roti, 30 days I feed myself, and I am spending 700, 800 rupees, 1,000 rupees, and one pizza 1,200 rupees. Look, I am Amrish Puri, I am Gulshan Grover, I am the villain of this consumer growth. I am earning but not spending. But thank God, I am 2 generations old now, because 20 years has gone. So they are in. Habits, preferences have to change, otherwise people like me will hold expenditure. This is going to be the key driver to consumerism, because you were $1,000, $400 per capita 20 years back. 1,000 hit in 2008. Today we are about $2,500 per capita. And you know what is the expectation by 2030, 2032? We are going to be close to 5,000. Remember one thing. If you are living in some European country and your per capita was 40,000, right? Your life rate adjusted to 40,000. First you show how you will go to 41 or 42. First you show me that. Then I'll talk about expenditure. But you are all going from 2,500 to 5,000 you are going to go. So people who have incremental money are only going to spend more. And if I'm going to spend more, I need more manufacturing. Otherwise, you will be, either they'll inflation or you have to import. So things are very simple. So this is only single slide I'm using. Young people, I'm thankful to them. What I have decided is when my son is spending, I'm going to buy that stock. Right? That's my hedge. The day he said pizza, I went and bought Jubilant. The day I knew what 3M is, I went and bought 3M. Right? And maybe I'm using some examples to just explain you. Ever in your life, read Peter Lynch. You will understand what consumerism and what brands and what wealth they can create. Right? Maybe the next slide, this is Digital India. I need 2 hours to explain you this in simple. I've already thanked Nandan Nilekani. But you know, Nandan Nilekani, if in his interview, he said, when I went to the government gave me 1-line mission to me. The mission was digital for every Indian. Digital for every Indian. Imagine you are living in 2015, right? When you don't have bank accounts. Imagine you are living in 2015 when your data expensive, everything, and you don't have mobile phones that connection, so on. We have, but still don't have. And you are asked to say digital for every Indian. So 8 years, 5 years he was there. Now we are into 8 years, 9 years, right? So we have, today we say Rohit Sharma doing so well, Virat Kohli, Shubman. But let me tell you, there are many, many more legends who are changing our lives, and we don't celebrate them. Nandan is one of them. NPCI's chief, Dilip Asbe, who set up NPCI. Huh? So let me tell you what NPCI does for you. You know, part of consumerism, but you are part of savings. What NPCI does is your NASH mandates are managed by NPCI. Your SIP NASH mandates. So in my life, when I gave my first SIP, so in East India, Kothari Pioneer Mutual Fund, blue chip. So he came to me, 6 check there. I told him, are you mad? I get 10 checks leave. 6 I gave you. I already used 2. So what will I do? But he still took. I'm thankful because that 6,000 rupees I gave him is worth maybe 2 lakh or so, right? But net, do you have to do that today? Digital India. But you know, this Digital India is driving consumerism. Things we get, we don't appreciate. Go to some other country, you will not even understand what is happening. If you think in USA, you are going to get Swiggy and Zomatos at the beck and call. You call and it will come in 30 minutes, 1 hour, you're mistaken. All this is not there. There's all brainchilds of what the logistics, Swiggies, and you know what the people have done. It is right. So this is part of Digital India. This would not have been possible if government had not undertaken the project. This is public infrastructure. What government did is government spent money to build public digital infrastructure. They spend money. About 3,20,000 villages in India today are linked with optic fiber cables. Huh? They're linked with optic cable fibers. Their speed is as good as our speed in cities. And it will go up. While world is thinking 5G, we are thinking about 6G. See, somewhere we are ahead or equal or maybe ahead of the world. Digitally, there's a consumerism which will happen. Some shift will happen in terms of more consumerism. Some shift will happen in terms of the way you consume. I don't want to go to the bazaar. I'll just order online and many other things if you are aware about. So have you ever thought how Zerodha, who had less than 1 million accounts, about 9-10 lakh accounts, went, as I talked to you, is somebody aware how many accounts Zerodha has today in 3 years? Okay, they have 1.20 lakh accounts. They went because of Digital India. KYC went online. Jio, they said we are going to open few million accounts. Jio connections, it went online. Aadhaar got linked to us, unique. So when GPS tells you where you are, Aadhaar is telling the system who you are. It's so unique. And this is the next support of consumerism. Right? So all this requires, by the way, they have this, Digital India has increased your demand for electronics every way, including to a level of servers. Now what we have done is, we are saying we'll make in India. So this is summary. So Niti Aayog was already talking about 2030, $6.7 trillion economy, 10 years, close to $10 trillion. Because Niti Aayog has put the number, developed economy, $30 trillion. The important thing to notice, these numbers may vary. Sometimes you may achieve before, sometimes you may achieve late, sometimes you may achieve more, or sometimes less. Important thing to notice, the opportunity and the direction of opportunity. That is what is important to note, right? So right now, we are running I believe education innovation is very prime contributor to where India is going. Consumerism already talked about, manufacturing, digital, partly I've already talked about. So the thing is this on? Are we, well, Triveni Sangam, next 10 years, 7 to 10 years, is this happening? As long as corporates are doing well, you can only guess the Sensex Nifty stocks movement. Right? So to say, हमारा time आएगा, ... पता नहीं कब, I would like to say हमारा time चल रहा है. Dot is period. No arguments on that. Right? And there's a lot of effort which has gone in this. Lot of efforts, right? So, but net, you will always be challenged. You will never have life easy. So here you means investors, you as consultants to your investors to invest money, you will always think, will this happen? Will this not happen? Will the execution problem happen? Is this a dream or will this be a reality someday? Right? For me, the thing is very simple. 20 years, I moved from $500 billion economy to $3.5, $4 trillion economy. So are we trying to say we can't do it again? So if we can't do it again, we should doubt ourselves, not the economy, because they're put in, government has put in the infrastructure. Government is facilitating everybody out here. The macro conversation is already on, right? तो हिंदी में इसको कहते हैं छलावा या सच्चाई, right? मृग तृष्णा, if you are aware, or truth. You will always be challenged. Should I invest now? Should I not? So what I can say in net, I'll not talk about much markets. Don't be run by meager conversations. Sometimes ki, market has suddenly gone up. In March, nobody came to tell us, please invest. If you think there's some valuation constraints, please go stagger your investment. But to think not to invest is the biggest risk we are taking today. And to close, I think this is my last slide, right? And to close, let me tell you something which my ex-CEO used to tell me a number of times. To make money, you can be an actor, you can have some skill in you, you can be a comedian, you can be a director, like Atlee, what he has done now with Jawan, right? And maybe you have luck, like Sunny Deol, suddenly, when you're 65 years old, you give the largest hit of India. Second case is you are industrialist, you have something legacy coming in, you have family money, you manage that and so on, or you set up an industry like what Ambani's did, what Adani's did, all first generation, second generation. Now beyond this, if you can't do this, life is very simple. Right? Go and invest in India because all these things are listed out there. And let the fund managers take a call, when, how, what. Little bit you can always do. You think small mid-cap is little valued, STP kar do, you stagger it, right? If you think to hold now, you have asset allocation mode, everything can be taken care of. But when there's a macro opportunity, which maybe in the world, I think, in the last post-Second World War, this is only third or fourth time you're seeing something. Post what? USA, Japan, China, I don't think was open, so I'll go to India directly. And we should feel very lucky that we are working in an industry where we can understand these words and conversation happening. I can't talk to my father like this. I have to break down some conversation with him to explain him. I can't talk to everyone. So the language of the market, you're already aware. You meet people, you talk to them, and you can at least bet on the future. That there's some probabilities, there's some future, some possibilities to happen. In the end, the choices you make in the ocean of probabilities is ultimately what will lead to wealth growth, right? Irrespective of what you think, if India is growing, India does, right? The opportunity of growth will always be there. So what I will say, have confidence in India. You are the best people to understand your investor and to guide them in their investment with time horizons, asset allocation, profiling, everything. It is up to you. But do not lose the hope on India. It's a rare instances which happen. Fifth largest economy, they were saying we won't be fifth also. Because 20 years back, we were not in 100 or so. Right? Now ranking doesn't matter. Now your challenge is you yourself. How good you can be versus what you are today. How you can hold your growth. Rare opportunity. I say You have a responsibility of making money for wealth for yourself, for your investors, right? And for the next generation, because they may not get this opportunity. They may not see this again. It is possible. So thank you so much. I'll stop here.